the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
At this hour, part of central Indiana is under a winter weather advisory as snow continues to fall. Thanks for joining us here at 11. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. Let's get right to Kevin with the WRTV Storm Team Alert.
And let's hop to Bloomington. If you're sitting in Indianapolis or anywhere north, you're saying, what snow? This is the snow we're talking about. Ryan Black showing a neighborhood there with a good 4 inches plus on the southeast side of Bloomington. This is just a block off from the town square. And I think Becky Panny for this picture, and you can see tire tracks in the fresh snow. 5 inches of snow in Seymour, Bloomington between 4 and 5, and Columbus right at 4 inches, and maybe an additional 1 to 2 inches. Okay, not much happening most of central Indiana. You have to go to the south, Bloomington, Nashville, Columbus, and Greensburg south. I do think this will drift a little more to the north as we sleep through the overnight, but additional snowfall will be light along Interstate 70 and north, certainly less than an inch. Where we could squeeze out another inch to inch and a half would be areas that have already seen 3 to almost 5 inches of snow. We'll take a break tomorrow. Then we've got another system to talk about for Wednesday and the Valentine's Day weekend. Wait till you see that forecast. That's coming up.
See you soon, Kevin. Thank you. Dozens of trucks with the Indiana Department of Transportation are on the road right now tackling that winter weather. INDOT says it has issued a full call out of crews. That includes 55 trucks in Indianapolis, 30 in Greenfield, and 25 in Muncie. They will be out salting, clearing, and plowing overnight. Fresh crews will come in at 4 a.m. to make sure the morning commute is safe.
Give yourself some time to get where you have to go. Wake up a little early tomorrow morning. I know no one wants to hear that, but give yourself a couple extra minutes to get to work tomorrow.
Crews will be using more salt than usual because the temperatures are expected to be especially low. Right now, IMPD is investigating a deadly shooting on the east side. This happened around 9:20 near Post Road and 30th Street. Police said they found a female passenger of a car with gunshot wounds who was pronounced dead. We are working to learn more about the victim and what led up to this shooting. You can find the latest at WRTV.com.
WRTV is working for you, holding lawmakers accountable for their legislation and their votes. We start with the Indiana Senate's vote to override Governor Holcomb's veto of a controversial landlord-tenant relations bill. The bill prevents any Indiana city or town from regulating landlord and tenant interactions, from the screening process used to approve tenants to security deposits and lease applications. If it becomes law, it would nullify an Indianapolis ordinance passed last year that requires landlords to give tenants a notice of their rights and responsibilities. A senator we talked to says this follows a familiar pattern at the State House.
This is another attack on Marion County in the city of Indianapolis. You know, I commend our city county councilors who recognize that Indianapolis is second behind New York City in terms of evictions. And that they tried to put some, restrictions and some ordinances in place to protect some of these, tenants.
These pictures show some of the terrible conditions renters are dealing with here in Indiana. It's why Senator J.D. Ford says cities and towns should be able to try and put protections in place for renters. Governor Holcomb released a statement saying, quote, "I remain confident in my past decision to veto Senate Enrolled Act 148 last year. To be sure, we are still navigating through this once-in-a-century pandemic, and therefore I still believe this is not the right time for that overly broad language to have become law. While I obviously disagree with their decision to override my veto, I hope the General Assembly will take a careful look at how this new law will affect local residents and units of government."
Despite there being no efforts to change names of cities in Indiana, a bill that would make that process harder is now making its way through the State House. This comes as more sports teams move away from using Native American names and mascots. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker spoke with the author of this bill and a local group that says there's no need for it.
Honestly, it sounds like a comment or, some kind of weird reply from the comment section of your local news came to life.
That was Carolina Castellano Santana's first reaction when she heard about Senate Bill 130, which would make it harder to change the name of Indianapolis, initially brought up because of the conversation around sports teams ditching their offensive names and mascots.
As someone who is on the front lines working with the Native community of Indiana. This has not been brought up by anyone in our community that these names need to change.
But in our conversation, Senator Jack Sandlin told me he looked into this because his constituents were asking him about it.
I was contacted over the summer with some questions from people that asked me, because there's a lot of discussion about renaming a lot of different things, including some cities.
Senator Sandlin says Senate Bill 130 is to protect the many people and businesses that would be impacted if a name change was to ever happen.
The investments the city's made to attract conventions and businesses and just even within the state. I mean, Indianapolis is a destination for a lot of other communities in Indiana. So I think that providing what I think is a good protection to preserve the name of Indianapolis.
Carolina, however, isn't buying that explanation.
It's often hard for a lot of people to comprehend racism that is more casual, racism that has, a politer face.
Senator Sandlin denies racism played any role in this bill.
I'm not a racist. I don't think I've ever had anybody call me a racist. And quite frankly, that's a little bit offensive.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Under Senate Bill 130, a group would need enough signatures on a petition for a name change, and then residents would be able to vote on a referendum. The bill passed in the Senate 36-11 and is now heading to the House for consideration. As for sports teams, the Indianapolis Indians launched over a summer a committee to look into the possibility of changing the team's name. They've been known as the Indians since 1902.
Child advocates are raising awareness about legislation they say will address systemic racism in our state's juvenile justice system. The Indianapolis Urban League Voices, the Children's Policy and Law Initiative of Indiana, and other groups held a news conference today expressing their support for Senate Bill 368. If passed, this legislation would prohibit the detention of minors in adult facilities and create Indiana's first competency to stand trial requirements for juveniles. It would also implement a system for automatic expungement of juvenile records. Indiana is one of only 5 states in the country that do not have statewide competency to stand trial requirements for juveniles. Indiana data shows 70% of children directly filed or waived to adult court were Black, despite Black youth being 35% of those in juvenile court.
Young people who sit in adult facilities are overwhelmingly young people of color. And we want to make sure that they have all of the access to the age-appropriate services that are necessary and that will help redirect and get them back on the right track.
Senate Bill 368 will be heard tomorrow in the Committee on Corrections and Criminal Law. Indiana stands to lose about $800,000 a year in federal prevention funding under the 2018 Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act if lawmakers do not pass legislation to prohibit pretrial detention of minors in adult state facilities.
New COVID safety recommendations for Indiana schools are now in effect, and some teachers are not happy about them.
It's very disheartening that a decision like this was made without consulting those people that it's going to have the direct impact on.
Under the state's updated recommendations, social distancing space can be reduced from 6 to 3 feet. If students, teachers, and staff remain 3 feet apart and wear masks in class, they no longer need to quarantine for 14 days when someone else in the classroom tests positive for COVID. Keith Gambill, the president of the Indiana State Teachers Association, believes schools should err on the side of caution and stay consistent with what they say is working.
There are new variances of the virus, and our concern is that these changes have been made that in some ways relax what has been happening in our schools at a time when the virus isn't relaxing.
ISTA has taken its concerns to the governor's office. The new guidelines are not a mandate, and they do not apply to activities outside the classroom, including lunch and athletics.
There are 9 diagnosed cases of the UK variant of the COVID-19 virus in Indiana, according to the State Department of Health. But there are several new strains around the world. The 3 most talked about are the UK, Brazilian, and South African variants. In South Africa, CNN is reporting the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine rollout is on hold after studies found it provides minimal protection against the more contagious variant found in the country. It is unclear how the new variants will impact the effectiveness of vaccines. But Dr. Amy Beth Kressel with Eskenazi Health is optimistic.
Right now, we are modestly hopeful. It does look like the vaccines will not be as effective against the new strains, but it looks like they will offer meaningful protection against hospitalization and death.
Experts say it's important to continue practicing good health measures and get vaccinated when you can. And right now in Indiana, anyone aged 65 and older, long-term care residents, first responders, and healthcare workers are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. You can make an appointment by going to ourshot.in.gov or by calling 211. Supply is limited, so appointments are not guaranteed. The health department encourages people to check the website often.
The State Department of Health is reporting 58 new COVID deaths in Indiana, bringing the total to 11,459 since the start of the pandemic. Many Hoosiers whose loved ones are among that devastating death toll are sharing their stories with WRTV.
Just don't forget that these are people. This is people's grandma, grandpa, son, daughter that were taken by this disease.
Christine Scharfenberger's grandfather, James, tested positive for COVID-19 while in the same nursing home where she works. He was in the facility recovering from suffering from congestive heart failure in late 2019. A COVID outbreak started spreading in the home in May. The 85-year-old tested positive and, despite having no symptoms, went to the hospital. Just 2 days later, James Scharfenberger died. Christine wants her grandfather to be remembered for how he lived.
He was so supportive. You know, if I was having an issue with school or maybe, you know, during the teenage years with my parents, I could talk to him. Even in the adult years, you know, he was very wise. I could get, you know, political insight from him or just life, you know, finances. He had been everywhere and done everything.
Scharfenberger is one of nearly 40 residents who died from COVID-19 at the home where Christine works. If you've lost a loved one to COVID-19 and want to share their life and legacy, please contact us at facesofcovid@WRTV.com.
The historic second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump begins in less than 24 hours. He faces 1 count of inciting an insurrection. Accusers say he directed a mob of his supporters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th to try to stop the certification of Electoral College votes for President Joe Biden. Attorneys for the former president plan to argue that his words are protected under the First Amendment. If all goes as planned, this trial could be shorter than the first impeachment, possibly wrapping up as early as Monday.
Now coming up, what happens if a snowplow destroys your mailbox? WRTV Investigates is getting answers for dozens of homeowners in one central Indiana county. And next,
you can see a really good show in the comfort of your home with your sweetheart.
Enjoy singing, dancing, and jazz hands from the comfort of your couch this Valentine's Day. A local theater company is returning to the stage with a celebration of love.
if you're looking for a special way to celebrate Valentine's Day, but don't want to risk COVID exposure or brave the frigid temperatures out there, well, a local theater is bringing love to your living room. Tonight, we're putting an original performance called La La Love in the spotlight. The virtual Valentine theme show is produced by Magic Thread Cabaret. The title is a playful take on the film La La Land. The stars of the show say that you can expect a variety of song and dance routines, and you do not have to be in love to enjoy it.
La La Love is a Valentine's concert, very much centered around the obvious love theme, but we've tried to also interject some comical moments and realizing that maybe not everybody's in a relationship. You know, sometimes relationships just go bad. And so there's some songs that represent that. There's some songs that are just very joyous and happy and positive.
A good chunk of the show, since both Melissa and myself have a theater background, and that's what we do and what we love, a good half of it will be centered around songs from musicals and Broadway. And then the other half, because we also are human, we have different tastes and genres of music. So we also have some jazz and R&B and pop music.
Normally, Corey Lingner and Melissa Schott, both Central Indiana natives, are working performers in New York. Well, that's not possible right now with the entertainment industry there shut down due to the pandemic. Both say they are grateful and excited to return to the stage in their hometowns.
I love the idea. I've been aching for something to do as a performer with hardly anything going on right now.
It's special to be here, but it's also very special that we get to do this virtually, because folks that might not ordinarily get to be here in attendance will get to see this all around the world, and that's exciting.
It's great that we get to do this. It's thrilling, actually. We really miss producing. Showcasing artists is what we're all about.
Tom Alvarez is the managing director of Magic Thread Cabaret. He co-founded the company in 2015 to showcase local performers and performers with an Indiana connection. La La Love will be the cabaret's first show since last February. You can watch it live at 8 o'clock Thursday evening. Then it will be available on demand Friday through Sunday. For more information, go to magicthreadcabaret.com.
You can make it a double feature with a different local performance that may be more appropriate for Galentine's Day. Women of Broadway is an original cabaret from Footlight Musicals. It celebrates strong female characters throughout the history of Broadway. We first told you about this show last month. It was postponed due to COVID concerns. Women of Broadway will be available to stream February 12th through the 14th and the 19th through the 21st. For more info, go to footlight.org. And remember, when you stream these shows, you're not just paying for the entertainment. It's a chance to support local arts groups and artists at a time when they desperately need it. And Kevin, I think we could all desperately use some entertainment while we're stuck inside with all this snow.
You won't get it from me. Creativity abounds there, though. That's good. Okay, if shoveling the driveway is entertainment, then you've got some coming your way. Vincennes in Knox County. Spencer Goodpaster sharing this picture at Vincennes University. 4 inches of snow there. Thanks to Debbie in Ellettsville, you can see 3 to 4 inches of snow just to the northwest of Bloomington. And we showed you Bloomington had 4.5. So Bloomfield, Bloomington, up to Shelbyville, Rushville, and Richmond South. An additional 1 to maybe 2 inches possible overnight as more snow streams in from the southwest. So we'll talk about additional snowfall in the metro area of Indianapolis, an inch or less. The snow action has been to the south as anticipated, but has been a little heavier than anticipated. But what's happening is it's cold. So the ratio is much higher, meaning typically it'd be, say, an inch of rain would be 10 inches of snow with temperatures closer to freezing. In this case, we're getting much more mileage out of the moisture, and it's a fluffy, dry snow. Bloomington to Nashville to Columbus. Tomorrow we take a break. We'll need it. 26 the afternoon high temperature. Wind will be fairly light. Then we go to Wednesday, and notice then our increasing chance for snow as we get to Wednesday afternoon, especially in the southern half of the state. And it looks like closer to the Ohio River, there'll be a concern for freezing rain as you go along the Ohio River and into Kentucky. So that will become a story we'll keep an eye on if you're trying to go to the south. For us, accumulating snow potential once again. Temperatures in the 20s, low to mid 20s on Wednesday. And then you see what happens. By the time we get to Valentine's Day, 14 degrees. That's the high with partly sunny skies, 2 below 0 on Monday. Monday's high just 15, and beyond the 7-day, right on into the 22nd of February, below average temperatures will continue. Amanda?
Homeowners in Hendricks County are trying to get money to replace their mailboxes after they say they were taken out by snow plows. WRTV Investigates checked with the Hendricks County engineer, who told us they've received 32 mailbox replacement claims since it snowed on January 31st. Typically, the county averages 13 mailbox claims per year. Homeowners with a damaged mailbox can file a claim and get $40 to put towards a replacement.
$40 is an absolute insult, to be honest. It's a joke that that's all they're willing to pay. And even if I can show them the cost of my mailbox, it's disappointing that they won't even take that into consideration.
Seems like a really low number to me. And so my mailbox alone was $65, not talking about the post or the numbers or the install or any of that. It just seemed extremely low.
Hendricks County Engineer John Ayers says they are working to increase the $40 reimbursement amount. The county points out they typically plow 775 miles and pass an estimated 40,000 mailboxes.
Peyton Manning will be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in August. As expected, the selection committee voted on the Colts icon into the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. WRTV's Brad Brown shows us the moment Manning learned the news and explains what comes next.
It was hardly a surprise, but how they pulled it off, even the wily old quarterback never saw it coming.
What the heck is going on here, you guys?
Corner hammer.
Well,
we were trying to surprise you, and it didn't come off very well, but we've got one more person here with a little surprise.
And I want to welcome you to Canton, Ohio, where I promise you we will keep your legacy alive forever.
Peyton Manning officially added to the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2021 this weekend, a no doubt first ballot selection. He changed the entire dynamic of Indianapolis during his time with the Colts.
I think one of the best parts about it is that it's been a little reunion of a lot of guys that did a lot of sprints, lifted a lot of weights, watched a lot of film together behind closed doors, and you get to have just a couple of small moments there with that group.
Peyton made the Super Bowl weekend trip to Tampa with his son Marshall. It will be a family affair in Canton as well. Archie Manning will present his son for induction.
You know, he's had the greatest football impact on my football life, and just never was my coach. Was always there to help, and I sure did ask for his help a lot. And so he's certainly proud, and I'm just thankful to him for all the help and support he's given me throughout my life, and especially in my football life.
It will be a Colts reunion of sorts this summer. Edgerrin James will get his delayed induction with the class of 2020 that same weekend.
I want to congratulate my boy Peyton Manning, a.k.a. P Money, on his induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Much respect, well deserved. I always respected you as a man, as a teammate, as a friend, and just so glad to have you once again as a teammate, man.
Peyton is one of the greatest ever. We already knew that. The gold jacket that's coming his way simply solidifies his place among the all-time best.
It just means that I'm very grateful for a lot of people that have helped me in this journey. As I've said, this wouldn't be exciting or wouldn't be special if you had to kind of take this ride of football alone, and to have family and teammates and coaches and fans and so many people, support staff, be a part of it. That's what it means to me, how lucky I was to have played the game for so long and gotten to meet so many great people.
Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Snow is not over. Very challenging in the morning. Bloomington, Columbus, Nashville, over to Greensburg and south. In total, probably 4 to 6 inches, with just another inch to 2 overnight. Thanks for watching. See you first thing in the morning on Good Morning Indiana.